Going live a few minutes early. We'll officially start around 7 p.m. Hey, Joyce here. Great to see Joy. We'll start in about 1 or 2 minutes here. My clock's showing 6:59. Yeah, so Joy, I'm actually going to be giving tips from all the mentors, and I'm going to be trying to be very careful. Well, I might as well throw in my camera feed, but I'm going to try my best. When the camera's on, it's easy to forget stuff, but I'm going to try my best to remember who taught me a lot of these tips and everything. There we go. Now my camera's back on. Yeah. One of the other meetup mentors, Joy, is in the audience here. Joy has just taught me so much. Joy is very quiet, but then once in a while she chimes in, and then you realize how powerful and experienced and how much she knows. Joy's very impressive meetup organizer. Been an organizer for such a long time, and very successful group. Run some very successful retreats in the Atlanta area for introverted women too. Everybody just loves her retreats that comes. So great to see Joy tonight. Oh, it's 7. I probably should get the presentation around. Okay, cool. Oh, it looks like everything's going through fine. So, quick note, I use presentation software, Gamma AI presentation software. Y'all know my story. Long time ago, neck injury got too bad. Couldn't be a software developer, so my time on the computer is limited. But luckily, I found a great surgeon, and I get these 4 long needles in my head every 2 months, which hurt horribly, but now I can do what I want. My time at the computer is still limited, so I use these great AI tools to do things that I normally couldn't. Like before, I couldn't make presentations, but now I got Gamma and I can make presentations. So I'll never be a software developer again, but now I can give talks. But anyway, back to the talk here. So tonight's talk, a while back, me and some of the other meetup mentors, including Joy, who's in the audience, like we got Seal, Coach Seal. We've got, oh no, my mind's blanking because I don't have them all written down, but Tanya Tyler. No, she's one of our friends in SEMO. She's retired military leadership, great leader. Yeah, you got Coach Deborah. And we got some of the other mentors. So apology for not remembering them all right now. I should have wrote them down. Oh, Ari, my buddy Ari. And so many I'm not remembering right now, but So tonight's going to be about all the tips that we gave to double your turnouts, and even some tips that I didn't give during official Meetup lives when Meetup was running volunteer or organizer training. I'm David Good. So my thing is I help turn engineers, IT professionals, and neurodivergent people into leaders. My specialty is I went from software development to being a community organizer in community organizing, and I love it so much because of the impact I've been able to make on the world. Um, and just to let you know, I am a volunteer mentor of new Meetup organizers for Meetup. I'm not an employee. So, don't send the hate to me. If you've got complaints or technical problems, please open a support ticket. And you can find more out about me at davidgood.org, my website. Now, this may be a bit of a long talk, maybe about an hour, maybe a little more, but it's going to be pretty comprehensive. And if you do these things, you should be able to at least double your turnouts, unless your group's already going gangbusters right now, and you don't need any improvements. But these are a lot of just little tips and tricks. So yeah, quick some things about me. Last week's talk had a lot more information, but I already talked about having my software development career taken away by a car accident. I've actually given a lecture for an Ivy League university on leadership and neurodivergence and bridging communication gaps. Been featured on all the big TV networks. Founded my Meetup network, International Friend Connection, first group 2014. I got recognized by President of the United States, President Biden. Points of Light declared me a point of light. Buddy David Siegel declared me the founding Meetup brand ambassador for all I helped them out. And then I work with the Octopus Movement think tank as their chief of global affairs. Now, Perry founded a great organization in Amsterdam there, connecting nonlinear, kind of out-of-the-box thinkers to work on new solutions for global issues. They've been doing a lot of great things. I meet so many people. I mean, I meet people in there whose brains can almost run rings around Einstein, and that's almost not an exaggeration. Maybe a little bit of an exaggeration, but and then I like using my engineering skills to create frameworks involving people in business. So I talked about the no fail formula. That was something I put together with help from one of my leaders. Leader named Dale, that totally revolutionized the way I look at everything in life. And my friend magnet framework is a framework for personal leadership and human connection for neurodivergent leaders. And generally, even if you're not looking to be a leader, human connection is one of those base skills that opens your life up. And I encourage people to learn it. When I was horrible at communicating with people and connecting with people. And I thought really the only way someone like me could do it was through manipulation. But then when I learned those genuine connection skills, I got mentored by Bob Berg, and he teaches genuine influence, which is being authentic and being vulnerable and looking out for other people, having people's best interests in mind. That really persuasion and connection is just a better way to live life. Everything real is genuine and authentic, and everything fake is manipulative. We don't want to be fake, but let's get on with some things. So yeah, community organizing is a tough job, thankless job. I've worked 11 years for free building this organization. Volunteered for 11 years, and we've went up to 50 chapters. Now we got 38. We just got a great organizer in Japan, our friend Hiro there. Great organizer in Sarasota. We got one in Portugal, Excel. We got East Michigan with Vicky and Becky. I mean, that one's going great. 2 events every week. So I want to give you a lot of the tips and tricks. Last week, I focused a lot on feelings because really human connection all comes down to feelings, and your ability to connect with people is what's going to keep them back. But, feelings and vibes aren't everything, but they're often overlooked in leadership. A lot of people in leadership don't want to spend time, but, if you can make people feel good, you appreciate people, you look out for people, then people keep coming back. But you still have to create value. Feelings and vibes are one thing, but if there's no value to back it up, then they're still not going to come back. So got a big agenda for you today. We went over event creation fundamentals last week. I'm going to give you some more strategy this week. Some things about building trust, reducing anxiety. Some things about personal connection, communication. mechanisms to enhance commitment in the group, consistency and proof, membership philosophy, external growth strategies, some advanced tools. I'm going to teach you about a tool that you can use with your optional email list, your announcement list in your Meetup group. Every group has one. This tool will allow you to see the number of times people in your group has opened your email. Nobody else knows this but me. I've told Meetup, and every time they break that tool for me, I kind of send them an email and they always fix it for me, but I may be the only one that uses these tools like I do. Oh no, my Alexa just went off. But and then establishing psychological safety. This is your number one leadership tool because if people feel relaxed, they feel appreciated. Like I said, the key thing, you're an amazing leader if people feel better after the event than before they came. That's how you know you're an amazing leader, and that's how they'll come back. So let's get on with it. Some event creation fundamentals that we didn't go over last week. Titles and descriptions. You want to base them upon what's going to persuade your target member to attend. So do a little bit of research and testing on what your target member is, what messaging resonates with them. And one critical insight I've learned over the past year starting a business for neurodivergent people is that persuading neurodivergent people, especially those people who are like scientists, engineers, IT people, quite different from persuading neuronormative people, as my friend Dr. Dawn Prince calls everyone who's not neurodivergent. So a lot of marketing is mainly emotion-based. And so you try to use that with a lot of neurodivergent people, and that falls flat. They want the facts and the figures and the logic behind everything. And then, a lot of the time, so focus on the why. What's the benefit the member is going to receive by attending? Not just the location, but paint the picture of what life's going to be like kind of after they attend. So scheduling, after talking with so many different meetup organizers and other community organizers, different platforms, we see about 2 to 4 weeks in advance is the sweet spot to announce something. Somebody said about 3 weeks. Maybe if you've got like a super big event, announce it way ahead of time, but on the Meetup platform, 2 to 4 weeks seems to be about the sweet spot. Sometimes you can get some priority. Now don't quote me on this, but it's kind of balancing visibility so that people sign up and add it to their calendar, but not too far ahead of time that they don't forget it. And then sometimes, I get flustered after like doing an event, like I'm doing these YouTube lives once a week, and we'll take a break for a couple weeks. I'm getting surgery Thursday, so wish me luck for that. No big deal, just a gallbladder surgery. But so once you get done with one event, even if you know you're going to have an event every week or every couple weeks or once a month, I recommend at least twice per month to keep the group going. There's, I think, Alicia Allen, great organizer. She's one of the other mentors, founded a big network of book clubs for women, Black women, people of color all over the USA. And Alicia's such a great organizer. Now she's the queen of like getting sponsors and raising money and things like that. Such a great meetup organizer and a decent friend of mine, good friend of mine. I think she taught us about this. She was like, so after you get done with an event, let's say you don't know what you're going to do, at least put another event up on the calendar and mark save the date and put in the description that we're still working on the event, but please save the date so people can go ahead and RSVP to that event and so you can start generating buzz for that event. So one thing about start times, now for International Friend Connection or local events in the USA, and we're experimenting with other countries, what works in other countries. But in the USA, I generally find around weeknights, 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. 6 p.m. may even be a little bit too soon because you've got to remember most people getting out of work at 5 that would attend if that's in your target market. They're getting out of work at 5. They want to come home, relax for a bit, and then come to the event and eat dinner, and then maybe come to the event about 6 may be a bit too soon. We found 6:30 is a good sweet spot, even 7. But, that's when you know your target member. And a lot of it's just experimenting. Nothing is certain. You just got to experiment. So, yeah, you want to kind of have low barriers to entry. Like some book clubs will even say you don't really have to read the book to attend, just to just to get their meetup started or their community organization started. Um, and then later, if you get so popular, you can restrict it to people just wanting who have read the book. Removes a little bit of a preparation anxiety that keeps people away. Like a hiking group, yeah, you probably maybe at the start cast a wider net for all levels and then decide if you want like a hardcore hiking group. You got to see what your what the local population wants. I've known people who have had hardcore hiking groups didn't take off, and then they go to kind of more casual groups and they take off. Some areas they'll want the more hardcore hiking groups. Like networking events, like if you're just doing business networking and things like that, you know, have some reassurance for shy people there, just to make sure that they're welcome to come. Yeah, you kind of want to remove every excuse that they have to not show up. You want to think of like what stops people from attending. Even what you want to do is when you have the event, ask if anyone was hesitant to attend, and then maybe chat with them private later and say, "Oh, kind of, why were you hesitant to attend? Is there anything we can do to make that easier?" And then if it's just one person, that's something to think about. But if you get like a bunch of people saying the same thing, then like, oh, we need to include something in the description. We need to make this easier to attend. So it's always getting to know your members, reducing anxiety and building trust. Next section there. So yeah, a lot of new members anxious to show up. We specialize in serving neurodivergent, socially anxious people. Yeah, you want to make sure that you give people clear instructions on where you're going to meet, what they need to look for. On the event page on Meetup, it allows you to upload photos. So you can upload some photos of the meeting area ahead of time, or a map. Um, yeah, I like to put the venue exterior in the photo that's on the event page, so that they know what to look for, and then just give clear instructions on where people are going to go or who they need to look for. I always have like a meetup shirt, or I have international friend connection shirt, so people know to look for me. Um, yeah, physical identifiers. People always say my sign's great. I ordered my sign from Vistaprint. It's like a plastic sign. It's like $20, and then it has like the Meetup logo and our group name and a few of our group logos on there. We can put a QR code on there so people can scan that and sign up. And then I send signs to some of my remote organizers that they can print off, and we'll pay for a sign holder that they can put in a sign holder there. And then we're also looking at seeing what works best. Some people have said that they'll put a balloon by their sign, and that will help people find it. Wear a specific colored shirt if you don't have a shirt with your logo on it, or a Meetup shirt. Anything that can make you very identifiable. Yeah, and that's one of the fear that a lot of people are nervous just about showing up. So that's one of the fears that they have is, I got to show up, then I got to find it. So anytime you can make anything like that easier. So yeah, this is about, okay. So here's one thing we do. You want to send every person that joins you want to send a personal DM to everybody who joins the group, no matter what platform you're using, whether it's Meetup or Facebook. Meetup will send them an automated message via email, but sending a DM can give you a little bit of an extra edge to encourage them to show up. Always start with gratitude. Real grateful that you're joining, looking forward to seeing them. Include one of your event links or your Meetup group links. And that personal touch can really, it's an extra level of professionality that you can do that can increase turnouts. Yeah, so I use the optional email list, or you can use that contact all members tool on Meetup to send an email 2 days before the event, I have a great email signature with my photo. People say that they pay attention to the emails that are from me and they ignore the ones that are from Meetup. So when I use that optional email list and optional settings, and actually I should pull that up here, how to do that. And yeah, when we get to the email tracking, I'll pull that up. But yeah, they like seeing my smiling face. They like seeing my email signature. And links to the groups and everything. So 2 days before the event, I'm like, say, hey, don't forget, we're meeting in a couple days, or join us Monday. I'll send it out. Hey, join us this Wednesday at Schuler Books, like we always do, or this Friday at Cafe Boba, like we do in Grand Rapids. And just encouraging people to show up, just as a little reminder. I've learned not everybody schedules every aspect of their life and is as organized as me, but yeah, usually sending an additional email a couple days before results in a lot better turnouts than just Meetup's automated reminders. Like I said, people want to hear from me. They don't necessarily want to hear from Meetup. And the day before, this comes from Coach Seal. My dear friend Coach Seal is like my big sis, prominent relationship dating coach in LA. Great woman. She's a great meetup organizer too. And she taught us this trick. So the day before an event, you go down that attendee list and you send a DM to everybody saying, hey, we're so looking forward to you showing up on Friday or on Wednesday or whatever the next day is. And then that's another thing that'll give them a little reminder and a little more encouragement to show up. And then before the event, on the Meetup software, on the event, you have event comments. You can post comments in there, especially post comments on there if you're going to be running late. Just give people the logistics of what's going on. You can post a question sometimes. People may answer. Some people's groups get pretty active and they can generate a little bit of conversation and buzz that encourages more people to show up. And then, so here's another trick Coach Seal taught me. So, running community groups, no shows are always going to be a thing. Be happy if you get at least 50% of the people RSVPing. This is on events that don't have a cap. Now, we went into policy before last week on what to do with events that have a cap. And like, if you tell a restaurant 8 people are going to show up, then 8 people better dang show up and that restaurant's going to be mad. And then you ruin your reputation around the community. So this is a little bit different. This is for like unlimited events. But so if anyone no shows, no matter what they do, always want to start out with a message of concern. This was Coach Seal's tip, saying, hey, we missed you showing up Friday night, Saturday night, whenever it was. We hope that everything's okay, and I hope you're doing okay. And then what that'll do, it gives them a little bit of compassion, and then they may reply and say, hey, I'm so sorry I didn't show up. But events where you have to know attendance, that's a totally different story. I would start with a compassionate message, and then they tell why they couldn't show up. Like, if it's medical, I always excuse because, I have chronic migraine. Now I'm doing great, but there was a time when, they would hit instantly right before I'd go out or do something. And then I would feel so bad about having to cancel. So, yeah, life happens. But and you have to decide what's a valid excuse, what's not. But for my events, like at Schuler Books, where I can have like 50 people show up if I want to, always give someone a compassionate message if they no show. Say, hey, we really missed you. Hope you're doing okay, and hope everything's okay. Yeah, here's some other commitment mechanisms that other organizers. Now we never really did fees for events, but some organizers use small fees, $1, $2, $5, or a little deposit, and you get it back. And then, or even having member dues. And this can result in people who are more committed. You got to play around with what's right for the people that you're serving. So think about your target members, what they want, and a lot of it's just playing around. But this approach may work for the type of group that you have. Yeah, you have to set clear expectations, like I was saying. Yeah, before we talked about no shows, And the thing is, when we do restaurant events, I got a great organizer, Stephanie. She's the queen of cracking down on people who no show. And, but it's important because if you tell a restaurant, okay, we're making a reservation for 12 people, what that restaurant's going to do is they're going to call an extra waitress or waiter on to be able to handle everything. And then if you don't show up, they're paying that waitress or waiter no matter if you don't show up. So what's going to happen? The restaurant community is small. So if you like RSVP with a certain number of people, you have a lot of no-shows at these events, your name is going to get around the local community. And then when you go to give an RSVP at a restaurant, they may say, hey, we heard about your attendance record and we're not comfortable with you placing an RSVP with us, or we're placing a reservation with us. Now, we've always, that's never happened to us because we've always had pretty clear expectations on, if we're going to a restaurant, we have a reservation and you're going to show up no matter what, unless like you're sick or something like that, or have a car breaks down, something like that, a valid excuse. But again, we don't really, we're not punitive. We don't punish people. We don't terrorize people. We have like 3 no-shows, and then you either you'll be out of the group, or you won't be able to come to events that require reservations. Yeah, so consistency is very important. So a lot of my organizers have social anxiety. And one of the things I say is when you're starting a group, because I love, like I was that guy with social anxiety. So I love taking people through a similar process to what I went through. I say pick one location, do it every week, whether one person shows up, whether one person signs up or 20 people sign up, you show up, because in the initial part of the group, you're building momentum. And plus, Meetup will give you a boost in the listings right after you create your group for about a month. So first of all, organizer has to train his nervous system that this location is safe for them and that they're going to be okay if they show up and nothing bad's going to happen. That's the mindset of someone with social anxiety because they've gone through so much with people in their life. Like a lot of y'all probably watching, you grew up bullied like I did quite a bit. You grow up not to like people, and then, I've been able to turn it around. Now I'm excited who I'm going to meet every week. But, it started with just picking one place and making sure that was a safe location for my nervous system. And it's good to practice that discipline, especially if you're not a very disciplined person. You show up every week, even if one person shows up or 20 people show up. The only reason we cancel is really weather or illness. Always good to take a photo. I'm going to show you what I do with some of the photos later. Make sure you ask people's permission before taking a photo. I have everybody. So one thing I'll do is I'll say, hey, give me a thumbs up if you're good with us taking a photo. And if you're not, you have 2 options. You can walk away from the photo or a minute, or you can just turn your head around and then we'll only have the back of your head. That way you'll get all the people, but they won't be able to identify who's there. Socially anxious people, I totally understand that. Very hard to get photos of socially anxious people because they're fighting that fear in their mind. And actually, though, it's a great skill for socially anxious people to learn to be okay being in photos, because what's going through their mind, they're like, oh no, people are going to see this photo and they're going to be mean to me. But in reality, you can even get on TV and you'll never run into someone who will see it. And if you do, it's like a freaking miracle that someone saw it. But yeah, if you have a lot of cancellations on your calendar, people look at your calendar and they're going to say, hey, this person may not have what it takes because they keep canceling events. Yeah, so a little bit of philosophy, membership hygiene. Here's some things that we talked about in a Meetup Live before. I have a completely different strategy and I come from it at completely different angles. Some people like to remove members that have been inactive in their groups for 6 to 12 months. There are some people who like you run into accountants, their primary thing is keeping accurate numbers. But then I've run into some accountants that have run groups and they complain that their groups aren't growing. And I go to their group and like, oh, you've been running for 2 years. We only have 10 people in your group. And they're like, well, we keep removing people every 3 months. And I'm like, well, that's probably why no one's showing up, because they don't see anyone in your group. Um, and sometimes went over this on the Meetup software though. When you remove someone, Meetup will send them a message that they've been removed. So, and they'll give them a link to rejoin too, I believe. So, and also when you send a message, you can send them a custom message. And actually, Meetup doesn't do this, but here's a little creative finagling that you can do. Because when you remove someone, Meetup will send them a custom message. What I'll put in the say, hey, Meetup recommended removing you because you've been inactive for over 6 months. Here's our link. Please rejoin, because we would love to have you show up. And that turns into a thing where you can re-engage that member. But you have to know what strategy is right for your market. And because of the member type that we serve, we have different standards. So we serve socially anxious people. We serve neurodivergent people. And there's a term called rejection sensitive dysphoria, where these people very sensitive to rejection. So I never remove anyone from my group, ever. It's a record. I can tell people a rough record of how many people joined. Really, there's more people that have joined than what the Meetup thing says, because people have left over the years, but it's a rough record of how many people have joined the group. Plus, I recently had a wonderful woman show up to our events a few months ago, and she said, I haven't made friends, and it's been a long time since I've tried making friends, and I saw your emails with your face for 2 dang years before I showed up, and now I'm glad I showed up. And you know what? Everybody liked that woman that showed up. Everybody loves seeing her come around. She didn't think anyone would like her. So yeah, the socially anxious people, it may take them months. I think I had a great organizer, Crystal. She saw those messages, 3-4 months before she showed up and had the courage to show up. And then a year later, she was running the whole dang thing for me. Yeah, so sometimes getting that remove message, if you're dealing with very sensitive people that have been treated bad by people all your life, that may freak them out, and then they'll never want to rejoin or come to your event. And that could cause them to never even want to go to any other Meetup group. Yeah, you don't want to trigger those negative feelings. It all depends on the population that you're working with. Know your audience is your primary thing. And again, we serve neurodivergent, shy individuals. So our main thing is psychological safety, welcoming space. So some external growth strategies. I'm maybe one of the only ones that does this too. Yeah, we'll switch screens here and I'll show you some things about this. But here's one thing I do. I make friends with people who own very large Facebook groups. Largest one around here. We got a very large one in Grand Rapids. I'll show you in a second. And I build a relationship with the owners, get to know the owners, and then I ask permission. Sometimes I may post first. And then I'll message the owners and say, hey, was this okay to post? We've did this for 11 years. We make nothing off of it. We just do this as a service to serve the community. And if you sound too spammy, if you sound like you're promoting, because most groups have no promotion rule, may get you banned quick. So it's always good to kind of email the administrators or the mods before, message the mods before. And yeah, if a group's owned by a business, largest local group in Grand Rapids owned by Mike Smalligan, find their business, give them a call, say, hey, can I come and meet the owner? And say, hey, I'd love to post about my events in your group. Here's what we do. If they're nonprofit, if they're not for profit nonprofit, you don't make any money off of it, they'll more than gladly like to do that. But it's all about building the relationships. You want to learn about building relationships. Look at any of Bob Berg's books for some very big picture stuff. You always want to frame everything as a win-win. How does it benefit their community? I'm going to switch. Let's see. I'm going to go here a minute. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you some posts. So, local group, Grand Rapids Informed, owned by Mike Smalligan. I think he got Realtor of the Year in Michigan this year in 2025. Great real estate guy, owns a big real estate company. In this group, it's like up to 200,000 people. But here's the type of post that gets the most likes and comments. As you can see, this one got 623 likes, 27 comments. It's me with this shirt. And if I'm not in the picture giving two thumbs up with a big smile, or if I'm not in the picture of all, it's just a crowd of people, I may get 50 likes. If it's me with a big smile, I get like hundreds, even 1,000 likes. This is one, and the text is very simple. Like we're hosting Neurodivergent Night at Schuler Books again this Wednesday. Please feel welcome to join us. I've had AI rewrite my posts to be more professional, and those actually get less likes because people think they're kind of spammy. But it's just if it's something simple, heartfelt, like, hey, we got a local group for shy people. We're meeting at a local bookstore. Come join us this Wednesday. Everyone's welcome. People love that. And that's actually helped me get some TV interviews and things like that. But here's another one. Oh, I love that picture. So many cool people in that picture. And then, yeah, see, here's the original one that took off. That was before I really started smiling as good as I do now. But this picture always gets a good result. You see almost 600 likes there. That one's even got 1,000 likes. Let's go back to the presentation here. So yeah, Facebook groups, post in other people's Facebook group. You can have your own social media page, but what I've found, it can be harder to get started. Sometimes one thing I've experimented with recently is just I turned my Facebook profile public because I'm always posting positive stuff about like believe in yourself and go for your dreams and don't give up and pivot and things like that. And people like seeing all my stuff. So I started making my profile public and posting all that public. And then I post in these other local Facebook groups, and then people start following my public page. So that gets my posts, more viewers on my post. And then like a month later, I'll even get comments saying, hey, I'd like to show up this week. You guys still meeting? And then you get people saying, oh yeah, I saw this post on Facebook. So I get that helps almost double turnout. Yeah, actually, we already went in this. Yeah, Bob's Berg's books. My friend bank classes that are on this YouTube channel. Go over those for a lot of answers. It's about 10 hours of classes. Yeah, actually, Mike Smalligan, how I made friends with him was he was running business networking events in the morning. So I showed up with those. And I went on his podcast when he offered, he was creating a new podcast for real estate. He was like, I was hoping you would want to come on my podcast because I want to know why have you worked so long for free to do this? That's usually why everybody wants to meet with me. Why have you did this for free for 11 years and worked so hard without making anything for 11 years? But, International Friend Connections getting bigger. I think 2026 is going to be our year to maybe go towards a nonprofit thing and do some fundraising because we got people who would love to work for us full time to really expand our groups along the world. And we've got 11-year track record, 4,500 events, a lot of recognition of impacting and saving lives. But okay, cross promotion with other organizers. A lot of people are very hesitant to do this because they're a scarcity mindset. They're like, if I partner with other people, they're going to take all my members. Well, no, if you're a good leader, it's going to lift all boats. Partnering lifts both people's groups. It's very rarely that somebody takes all your members. You're gonna serve each other's members better. That's going to be a great partnership, and you're building your reputation, building your name. Partner with other organizers. How I say is, you can put your event in my group. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how my people like your event. And if you don't mind, I'll put my events in your group. That's just the simplest thing you can do. Or if you want to be a speaker, if other groups are having speakers. It's all about building trust, building credibility, and goodwill. I've had nothing but good results partnering with other people. It's a skill. all these, you have to look at all these things. You're not born with them, they're skills. And the only way to learn the skill is by getting a little bit of training, but you'll learn more by actually doing it. Oh yeah, Meetup has that feature to allow guests. I wish that was on maybe by default, but they don't have it on by default. So whenever creating an event, we always mark them allowed to take a couple guests if it's appropriate for the events. But you can even put in the description that people are welcome to bring a friend. But usually people come to our groups because they're so shy that they don't really have any friends. So they're looking to make new friends. But I've had over the years, people do bring a lot of friends. So our board game events, people love bringing friends to our organizer Michelle's board game events. Yeah, so here's some advanced tools. Contact all member tool, how to send a message. Let me go over that. I'm going to demo this for you rather than just read this slide. You can go back and pause the video if you want to read this slide, but let me show you. Okay, yeah. I'm going to show you both of these things, the contact all members tool, and then the optional email list. And you can use that with Gmail. Then I'll tell you a little about Meetup. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about Meetup Pro. Meetup Pro is something totally different. I use it because I have a big network of 38 groups. It allows you to have more than 3 groups. It puts them all in a network. You get a network tool to put one event in all the groups. You also, once you switch to Meetup Pro, you get everybody's email address that RSVPs. And people are notified when they RSVP that you'll get their email address. So it fulfills all the GDPR and regulations that they have. And then you can sync it with MailChimp's the one that they allow you to sync it with. Otherwise, you can export it as a CSV. Here's what I'll say. I like having that, and I like exporting that CSV every now and then because now I own my members. Now, I don't get the emails of the members before I switch to Meetup Pro because they didn't consent, but as they RSVP in the future, I will get their emails. And then you can run an optional email list. And when I was doing virtual every night, we would have an optional email list that we'd call our VIP email address or VIP email list, and we would send the Zoom links out to those people earlier than we would, then they'd be available on Meetup. So it would just be another reminder that they wouldn't even need to go to Meetup. They just look in their email and they get that link. But yeah, just another tool. Let me go back. Then what are we doing? Oh, yes, I'm tracking with my signature. I'll tell you about that. So I'm going to pause this. Let's go to my main virtual group in New York. Love to get the virtual going again sometime, but I've got to get all these classes and frameworks out of my head first. But okay, so let's say you want to send an email reminder. Easiest way, if you're a Meetup organizer, manage group button here, and then we're going to go contact members. Now here's some options. All members are members subscribe to group announcements. So Meetup may have this thing. New owners bought it in 24. I'm not sure how much they changed this. But usually if people didn't visit your group within 3 months, they would get their notifications and emails switched off. But then I've had people come to my group and say, I've seen your personal email addresses that I send out to the optional list for like years now. And that made me come, and they never visited the group. So it's kind of confusing what's going on with this contact all member. Oh, interesting. Well, that's a bug right there where it says 0 members it would send it to. But yeah, that's just a bug on Meetup software. All software has bugs. Even Facebook has a lot of bugs, but it gives you a lot of options. All members, everybody subscribe to group announcements. That's probably your biggest one. Active members within a certain amount of months, members inactive, and you can get that. That's useful for sending like a message encouraging people not to show up. Usually in the event itself, you can send email to the people that have RSVP for that event. But this contact all members tool, generally, okay, pull up this tool, select all members, type your subject. Join us Friday. And then you can write your message here like, hey, gang, join me Friday at Cafe Boba. And then you can see a preview, what the message will look like. and then you can send messages. Oh, and actually here it will show you your optional email list. And this is what I use, and I may be the only ones that know this, but you can use this and you can track the number of times your email is opened with certain software. So that's how you use the email tool. And this is your optional email list at the bottom. I'm going to show you one other place to find that optional announcement email list. So you go manage group. Let's see, it is edit group settings. So now we're in group settings, optional features. See this optional features, click on optional features. Okay, your announcement list address. You can use this with Gmail or any other email client. And like you can see, it's international friend connection announced at messages.meetup.com. But here's the thing, only the main owner of the group, the registered email address with Meetup, can use this email list. You have to send it from that email address that's in your Meetup account. So you can use this with Gmail. You can use this with any email software, but there is another tool. And to do that, just get a new email, copy this, paste it in that new email message. I'd love to show you my email inbox, but I got a lot of I think privacy reasons, I can't really show you my email inbox or my sent items. I'd love to show you that. I wish I could. Maybe I'll record a demo and then I can edit out all the names in my email inbox. But just want to protect people's privacy. But okay, now using this optional email list, you can track the number of opens in your message. But you have to use the Gmail software, and there are two tools. There's one, MailTrack. That's free. Look up MailTrack. I forgot what the website is for that one, but the one I use is My Signature. I got on an AppSumo deal for a lifetime. My Signature helps you create it. MySignature.io helps you create a beautiful email signature. And with Gmail, you can track when your emails are open. Really great. So yeah, how it works, integrates right into Gmail, and then in your sent items box, or you open the email, and then you just click this little envelope icon. They make these graphics too small here, but there's a little envelope icon you hover over. Yeah, you can see it kind of better in this graphic. And then it will say how many times it's been read. Like I send it out to that email list. It gets sent out by Meetup. And then I go to my Gmail sent items, and I can just hover over that little teal envelope icon, and it will give me an up-to-date how many times that's been opened. So I send it out to like 30,000 people from all my email addresses. And what'll happen, it'll say, oh, maybe it's been read about, I think, 20% open rate. So you want at least 6,000 opens, and then it's a decent email. Anything more than 20%, you're doing real good. But yeah, and you can open the individual message, and then it will tell you like last time it was opened, how many opens. This is just such a great tool. If you have to be a bit of a techie, so if you're not, if you're not that great with computers, don't feel bad. People great at different things. But so yeah, that's some of my best tools. Let me get the presentation back up. Yeah, so best practice is when you send a reminder email, make sure you include the event link or at least the group link so they have something to click on. People make it easy. Don't make people make it so people don't have to think. The less they have to think, the more they'll act. Yeah, I just taught you about that optional email. And then tracking with mysignature.io. I can't show some of the others. Yeah, so establishing psychological safety. This is your number one task as a leader. And you'd be surprised at how many leaders for even major international corporations don't know this or don't do this. Psychological safety just means that people feel okay showing up. They know that people aren't going to be jerks. And that means pruning your group, man. Get the jerks out of your group. For us, we have a special thing because we have a lot of neurodivergent people. In the way autistic people communicate, the way people with conditions that used to be called Asperger's, now they're all called autistic, communicate, may rub people the wrong way. So we got to be kind of gentle. Yeah, leading neurodivergent people is a whole other thing. You got to know how their brains work. But a lot of times, autistic people say things makes perfect sense to say, because part of us, especially those that were engineers, we want to use the most efficient form of communication to communicate the message. But then we forget how it comes across emotionally. So while it may be verbally efficient, it's emotionally inefficient, and the message does not come across. That's the thing that we don't think about. But yeah, this is why I stressed, looking out for people's feelings. They got to feel safe to show up, that they're going to have a good time. No one's going to harass them. Yeah, one of the biggest things that we deal with in the groups and and we go the extra mile to prevent this, is, a Meetup even installed special software. It's men using these events as kind of their hunting grounds, showing up to pick women. And, I've heard horror stories from Meetup organizers that are women and what they've had to deal with. Usually, there's a woman in the group that all the women trust, and she'll come to me and say, hey, we got this guy here, and he's creepy. And then I have to figure out, is the guy autistic and he just doesn't know, or is he being malicious? So I'll have to kind of feel him out and have a little discussion with him. But that's my job as a group leader. Your job as a group leader is to protect the group. And if you're not willing to protect the group, you're not going to be a successful community organizer. Worst case, I've had to put myself in physical harm's way, but that's rare. And that about makes me just want to quit and throw away the whole thing. Usually what happens is people have a fun time running a Meetup group. They get in, they encounter their first people problem running a group. They have a member that doesn't need to be there. They have a conflict. Two people try to put them in the middle of something, and then they just quit because they're like, I'm doing this for free. This is a bunch of BS I have to deal with. That's the tough part about being a Meetup leader. But really, it's about you and your character being fair, enforcing rules fairly. I've had to find out who my friends are and who aren't running a lot of my groups. Some people want to I'm very wary of people who want to get close to me quickly and who start telling me I'm awesome. Used to that flattery would go right to my head before I learned more about people, but usually those people are trying to get like special privileges and kind of crazy. But you have to enforce the rules fairly. Like, my rule is, anything that happens outside of the group is your responsibility, is people's responsibility. We create a safe environment during the group. Reference my friend magnet framework techniques, friend magnet program, the other classes on the friend magnet channel. Actually, that's going to be switching. The link's going to be switching, and it's going to be more David Good neurodivergent leadership and mentoring and things like that. But yeah, find the friend magnet framework, listen to that. But yeah, I've had to enforce the rules on friends that wanted special treatment. They think they could break the rules by causing drama during an event. And they're very surprised when I enforce the rule fairly. But and I say, hey, you keep any sort of drama, anything like that outside of the group. And that's so generally, if one person complains about someone, it's not my problem. But if like 5 people complain about someone, then it starts becoming my problem. And I've had early on, I had a situation where a couple formed, they broke up, and then the woman wanted to put me in the middle, and I said, no, I'm not choosing sides because this is your problem. And then, of course, they accuse you of being a bad friend and all that. And that's the tough thing about leadership. But I realized, a real friend would respect the rules and they wouldn't put me in that situation. That's something I had to learn. I was a people pleaser for a long time. But, psychological safety, number one thing. Google released that study. I wish I had it right here, but it said in IT teams, software development teams, psychological safety is the number one determinant of the success and the productivity of the team. Because if people got to be looking over their backs, if they're living in fear, it's a lower psychological state, and it interferes with that creativity and productivity. Yeah, so a lot of the things that you're learning today is about creating psychological safety. But, you know, people problems are few and far between in these groups. Most people just want to show up and have a chill time and are happy to be meeting some people. Yeah, so some of the key elements of psychological safety. I had to do a lot of self-forgiveness work, forgiveness of others, and letting go of my judgment of other people and different communication styles. Just be very accepting of different people, different types of cultures, people who believe differently from me. Um, and that really helped me connect with a lot of people. I'm amazed. I can go about into any room now and connect with about any type of people. I love interacting with people. They don't have to agree with me, but I'm always surprised at who I can connect with and interact with, and the number of friends I can make. Yeah, you want to have that culture of non-judgmentalism. Um, if you can establish that, I mean, your group's going to grow. But you know, some people run their groups like petty tyrants um, and run very judgmental groups and have it be clicky and things like that. And you know, it doesn't grow that big. But if you want to grow big, um, you know, learn about different types of people, understand and empathize with different types of people, learn their perspectives. But, you know, always have the same rules for everybody. And our same rules, like, you know, during the hours that we have our events, it's a safe place. It's a way to take a break from the outside world, and you come in, your nervous system's way up here, your anxiety. We want the anxiety to lower through the whole event and come down to here by the end of the event. Maybe not the first time, but eventually after you keep coming back, that you're going to feel less anxious and life's going to get better. But yeah, you know, your culture is a reflection of your own character and your own inner work. Um, you're accepting and compassionate towards people. That'll be a good example to others. You know, Bob Berg talked about setting the standard and giving people a standard to live up to, and that starts with yourself. But you know, a lot of people, I think there are a lot of speakers that want to give empathy and compassion a bad name. What they're forgetting is that empathy doesn't mean that you can't have boundaries. Boundaries is the missing ingredient. Because if you have too much empathy and compassion, you become a people pleaser. You give people whatever they want. You let people do whatever you want to you, and you burn themselves out, and that's not necessarily good for the other people too. But so you got to learn about boundaries. Boundaries are a great leadership tool. And again, the only way to learn boundaries is by putting up boundaries with people. And any of this stuff, any of this leadership stuff, you're going to suck real bad at first. But as you go on, you're going to make improvement. A year later, you're going to look up, oh, wow, I can't believe how I was a year ago. Look how great I'm doing now. And other people will notice that too. But you got to get through the parts that suck, the parts that aren't fun first, the growth, and then it'll all taken off. Yeah, I already talked about fear enforcement rules. Um, in the future, I may go into more on what we do to handle difficult people. Yeah, I'll just call them difficult people for now. But you know, the difficult people are, like I said, they're rare. They'll test your leadership ability, but they're very rare. And and most of the difficult people will be men coming trying to use your groups as a pickup group. Um, and that's generally not what we want. But it happens, and you just need to know how to nip that in the bud. Um, and it's consistently in building trust and your own character, boundaries again, and fair enforcement rules. Um, yeah, why psychological safety matters is because people aren't going to show up where they don't want to show up to an event where they feel like they're on guard all the time and they're going to be judged. Now, some people will. I remember a real nice young girl showed up. Well, not a nice young woman showed up, college student showed up, and very nervous, a very bad social anxiety. And then she sat there, and then I sat her by some other women her age, and they all had, it looked like they had a good time. And I could tell that the other woman sitting with her actually liked this young woman. But then later I talked with that young woman. She's like, oh, I'm not coming back. I felt like people were judging me the whole time. And I felt like I couldn't be myself. And I'm like, well, I observed things. The three people that were sitting you, they actively enjoyed having you there. But you know, her brain was telling her so many things that weren't true that she hasn't come back yet. And I really hope she comes back because we enjoyed having her there, and everybody else enjoyed having her there. There's a recent study. I wish I would have had time to put it in here, but the study said that what they did was they had people have random encounters and talk to each other. And then they surveyed them afterwards. And the majority of people thought that the encounter went bad. But the people that they met, the majority of those people thought the encounter went good. So our brains always tell us all kind of stuff that aren't true. So you might as well assume that the encounter went good, especially you know, the only way to get good with people is be around people, learn and practice, and get mentorship. You know, if you got to get mentored in your people skills, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, and that psychological safety, just so important. I can't stress that enough. That's what, even when I didn't speak very much, like, you know, my social skills were horrible. So I kind of just shut up for most of my meetings. I wouldn't speak that much. And people always said I gave the meetings this quiet calm that people knew they would show up and everything would be okay. Just some closing thoughts. Let me get a little drink here. So yeah, a lot of things reduce anxiety, clear instructions, having signs, having clear identifier, a shirt with your logo or Meetup logo, maybe Eventbrite logo, something like that. But I'd rather promote my own organization rather than another company. You know, you can use Printful, you can use Zazzle, get some shirts with your own logo on them. Commitment, you know, show up time after time, whether 2 people show up or 20 people show up or 100 people show up. And then, yeah, never giving up. Now, sometimes people confuse never giving up with, here's a metaphor, beat a dead horse, old metaphor. It means doing the same thing over and over again, and you get the same results, you get frustrated. That's what I did with people skills for a long time. But the thing is, you have to learn and pivot. And last week we talked about the no-fail formula. You got to use the no-fail formula every day. So you do something, you do the debrief, you figure out what went right, what went wrong, what you can learn, and how you can pivot next time. Who do you need to help you, and what do you need to learn? And remember, look at everything in life as a skill to learn, and know your audience, know your audience's needs. Yeah, like events for engineers will be one way. Events for people who like active things like hiking, mountain climbing, things like that. Sports will be another thing. You got to know your audience, and trust relationships first. Build that like, know, and trust. It's a phrase thrown around in business a lot. A lot of people will kind of poo-poo it because it or downplay it because it's like a phrase. But you know, I go in how to establish like, know, and trust in the friend magnet framework, and you know, being likable is well, I teach you how to be likable in the friend magnet, and it's usually just being excited to see people and interested in people and friendly for people, and friendly when meeting people, and then knowing is that happens over time, and trust. Now you can't generally you can't establish instant trust with people. I don't care who says that they can. That's established long term over time. Sometimes if you feel like you can trust someone instantly, that may be a little red flag that you got to keep your eyes open. But yeah. So yeah, here's what I think. A lot of people complain about the technology they're using, but running a community organization, technology is the least important thing. Really, it's your leadership skills and your human connection skills. You can have the best platform, the perfect event description, the ideal time and place, but if people don't feel connected, welcome, and safe, they won't keep showing up. And you know, me being a former engineer, software developer, I did not like gray areas. I had to do so much training, retrain my brain using medical treatments to restructure my brain to be able to see gray areas and understand things like metaphors. The things that made me a great engineer, it made me sucked at connecting with people, that black and white thinking. And, it's a lot of basic human psychology. Reduce anxiety that people have about showing up. Um, commit to showing up. If you can't commit to showing up week after week or at least twice a month, community organizing may not be for you. And then accept all people. We accept all people no matter who they are. Um, even the ones that don't have perfect people skills, I accept those people, and we always offer. That's why we offer our classes on people skills for free, because I want people to be successful when they come to my group. And the thing I gotta say is, there's no shame in not knowing, not having great people skills. I didn't, and look at what I just said. People skills. It's a skill. It's something you learn. So I've met at least 10,000 people over 11 years. I've been mentored by great CEOs of like $500 million companies, famous authors who sold 1.2 million books. Books been translated in dozens of languages, spoke all over the world. The great mentor of mine, Bob Berg. And what I found was in us people that are autistic, condition used to be called Asperger's, us people that are awkward, shy, we think that people skills come naturally. But really, out of meeting tens of thousands of people, there are very few people that were really effective communicators. It's not about good or bad communication. It's about effective and ineffective communication. I communicated very ineffectively, and then I learned some things and practiced that I became a very effective communicator and was able to be understood better and connect with people. See, I'm not a perfect communicator, and you don't have to be perfect to do great things. I mean, heck, you can be broken like me and accomplish some pretty dang great things. So you don't have to be perfect to do any of this. Training programs, I got my free friend men classes. Those are all free. We talked about tools, my signature.io, mail track. And then look at our previous classes in our IFC, International Friend Connection Leadership Series. And we'll pull up one. I may give a talk about, I'm taking a break next Tuesday, but we may cover like some best practices for virtual events. Maybe I'll bring in some, my old team here, talk about that. And we'll go over how to deal with problem people. And then I've got some other frameworks to get out of my head. So we'll be doing a lot of great presentations. Just want to, okay. So for all of y'all who has stayed this long, I'm very grateful. I want to give you my number one secret for doubling turnout. And if you're a guy, you're a local community organizer doing events for the community, especially small group events like on meetup.com, your number one secret is going to be to recruit a woman to be the co-host and the main host. That's it. It'll double your turnout basically overnight. It's just a fact of the world, When I got started in 2014, I'd have some female women that were wanting to be hosts, and they would step up, and then they would get a much bigger turnout. Eventually, I would feel real bad, so I'd go in to consult my therapist and advisor. Say, what's wrong with me? What do I need to work on? But then I started talking with more organizers, and it was funny. The organizers that were women always had way better turnouts than the organizers that were men. Well, reality is what reality is. I could stew and be mad, or I can just recruit a female host or a co-host and double that turnout. So the easier thing to do is just recruit more women as leaders. And it's great to have a mixed gender leadership team. Just because everybody thinks different, it's good to have all those different perspectives. And my organization has grown quite a bit. And, a lot of my leaders that are women have been the most courageous and dedicated. Especially like, we got Vicky and Becky in East Michigan. Consistency for years. I'm just so impressed with both of them. If anybody has any questions, feel free to pop them in chat. I'll wait about 5 more minutes here. We'll see if anybody has any questions. I know this has been a long one for you. just want to thank you so much for attending. And you stay connected. Connect with me at davidgood.org. I'm available for speaking engagements. I can speak on leadership, human connection, and also leading as a neurodivergent person, how I've learned to connect with people across neurotypes and lead people of different neurotypes, whether that's neuronormative people or people who are neurodivergent, like autistic people, ADHD. Leading engineers is quite different from leading sales and marketing people. And if you're a good leader, you got to learn how to lead all the types of people. If you're a community organizer like I am, and you've been doing this all for free, my hat is off to you because it's dang tough work. Community organizing, being a community organizer is such tough work and thankless work sometimes. But you're making a big difference in the world. I've gotten so many messages. I've had so many people talk to me and say, I was lonely for years and now I got more friends than I ever thought I would have. Or I remember we did virtual events. People came to me and they were during lockdown and they said, I didn't want to go on because I didn't see people. And now I can see people every night. And I know we can all get through this lockdown crisis together. It's such a horrible time for the world. Even people in my local groups will say, I didn't want to go on, but then found this group and it's my reason for staying in the city. And my life's totally different. I mean, we've had therapists send people to our groups, come back with rave reviews. So yeah, the work you're doing, even though it doesn't pay, it really matters. So keep showing up, keep creating spaces and welcoming spaces. And that's kind of it. Let me go back to my camera here. Doesn't look like we're having many questions tonight. So just want to thank everybody for watching. And if you're watching in the future, thanks so much for watching. You can feel free to post questions and comments and I'll answer those. Get a hold of me at davidgood.org. And you can send me an email. There's a contact number form there. Going to be revamping that as a speaker page as I do more speaking next year. Love speaking. So if you've got a company or a large organization that's looking for a great speaker, be a lookout in the future. I'm going to give a talk called From Bedridden to the Boardroom. Original tagline was the power of friendship and never giving up. But actually, new tagline is life begins when you lose everything, because there's so many times in my life I've lost every single thing, cognitive abilities and rebuilt them, health and rebuilt that, careers and rebuilt it back up. That, just don't give up in life. Ask who can help you, what you need to learn, how you can pivot. Use that no-fail formula. It'll push you forward, and, just don't give up. No matter how bad things hurt, just don't give up. There's always someone that can help you. There's always a way forward. And like I said, I've lost things. I've lost everything in life many times. It felt like the end of the world. But, when I was having days of endless pain in 2016, after that injury from that car accident got so bad, I just wanted to scream. Now looking at my life, I'm glad I hung on, because I know people I never thought I'd know, and I'm doing things that I never thought I would do. I'm kind of doing the things now and knowing the people now that I just dreamed of doing when I was a kid. So you got to hang on. Things get better, and there are people that can help you, and you can pivot. But thanks so much for coming out tonight. Oh, I just got to say hi to our great organizer, Vicky, in East Michigan, one of the most impressive young women I've ever met. Thanks so much for showing up, and hope everybody